board and yay. Okay, well, welcome everyone. Glad that you are here today, and we are going to get started. I am Jennifer Johnson, and I don't know if you noticed, this is networking for my business. Where do I start? And every time I've created one of these, I always go off in the internet looking for pictures of people. And what do I find? That we actually have pictures from our groups. And I don't know if Dawn can see that, but Dawn is on one of those. I think Nicole's in at least one or two of those pictures. Margaret, I don't know if you are. I don't know if Claire is either, but I am going to share here in a little bit, learn the 7 factors you should consider before joining any networking group. I am going to share that later. But today we're going to start off with just thank you for being here today. And I am going to, we're going to get this out on our social media and, share it with everybody. There are a number of people who I hope might still jump on. But I'm Jennifer Johnson, and you ladies know who I am, but I'm the founder of TTR Networking. You can reach me at the Jennifer at To The Rescue IN, and then my phone number, which probably I should have made a little easier to read there. But anyway, so where do you start? Well, let's just start with an agenda. Today's agenda, I'm going to try to do this as quickly as we can. So if you've got questions or anything at all, you can certainly feel free to ask. Networking for my business, where do I start? We're going to start back at just a little bit of information on physical and mental health of the human connect, why it's important to network, going back to the literally, just what networking is and what it starts with connection, right? And then we're going to talk about the 6 benefits of networking, and I'll leave that with the rescue there. Networking strategies to make better first impressions. Some of it may seem so common sense, but when you really look at it, it's kind of like, oh, okay, sometimes you do have to have it detailed out a little bit. And then the 7 most compelling factors to consider before joining a networking group. I don't want to chase you ladies away from our networking groups at all, but I do think that we did a survey back in the fall, and we did collecting some information and found some really interesting things about networking groups that our members, former members and prospective members were looking for. And then we're going to talk a little bit about 8 steps to grow your business, and we'll close. I will explain a little bit more of that as we go along. But we did about a month ago, we did a presentation that was actually, should I network? Why should I network? It's kind of like, should I network for my small business? A new business owner is always, they're juggling. We're talking about juggling right now, but there's a lot of hats that they wear. And if they're trying to do it all by themselves, if they don't network, we all know this answer, but I'm just kind of going back to some information we had from the prior presentation that I did, and that was, why should I? And I want to start out with just a little bit of that. Why should I? There was a TED Talk, and it's about human connection. I mean, really, truly, networking is human connection. That is really what it is. There was a TED Talk by Johann Hari, which you're like, what does that matter? But he's a British author. He does a TED Talk, 14-minute TED Talk. It's called Everything You Think You Know About Addiction is Wrong. So basically his argument is that the opposite of addiction isn't sobriety, it's human connection. So the importance of human connection is I mean, that, the fact is, if you're not getting human connection, you are going to fall into, you're probably going to start, finding other things to do. And his whole argument is that it isn't sobriety, it's human addiction. Human connection is the opposite of addiction. So, I mean, it's a 14-minute TED Talk. I would encourage you to go find it. Johan is an author, and I think he's written probably 4 or 5 books that are all kind of go back to the root of the human connection. I just wanted to put that out there because that's quite a strong statement. They did do a Harvard study. They're doing a Harvard study right now of adult development, and it's been over 80 years they've done it. They are in the study, they have proven that loneliness and isolation can be worse than smoking and obesity. So, you're thinking that you're treating yourself horribly by being lonely and being isolated can be worse than smoking and obesity. So those are some. I would go out, look for Harvard study of adult development. You'll find some information out there that's amazing. And I think Nicole was on the last presentation. Talk about Renee Brown, who everybody probably has heard her name. Renee Brown is she is a American professor, author, researcher. She's written number of books. She's been on the New York Times best-selling list with her books 5 times. She studies courage, vulnerability, shame, and empathy. Books are The Gifts of Imperfection, Daring Greatly, Rising Strong, Braving the Wilderness, and Dare to Lead. But her whole thing is connection is why we're here. And it's what we're here for. We are hardwired to connect with others. It's what gives purpose and meaning to our lives. And without it, there would be suffering. So obviously, that's a pretty strong conviction here about connecting. So there is a reason we all want to connect with others. I put the information on the smiling. I don't know if you guys can see that because I think that what I don't have. The smiling is literally, and we're going to talk about it again, but smiling is literally takes less muscles than frowning does. So to me, I mean, why work overtime? Smiling is going to make you more attractive. It's healthier for you. It's going to attract other people. Whether you decide to become whatever you're going to do in your networking world, smiling is number one. It makes you more attractive and it's just better for you. There's so many things I could go into with that. But anyway, don't frown, smile. It's a good idea. So I put in here, what is networking? And the definition comes from Wikipedia. And I will say it is the sharing of information or services between people, businesses, or groups. It's also a way for individuals to grow their relationships for their job or their business. And as a result, connections or a network can be built and useful for individuals in their professional and personal lives. So we aren't even, right now we're just talking about networking in general. I mean, basically, where did networking come from? And I alluded to this earlier, and I found this really interesting information out on the web. There was a man back in 1985. His name is Bill Lewis. He's a Jacksonville entrepreneur. I do not know if he's still living. At the time of this article, it was, but he is given credit for coining the word networking. And he used it to describe connecting people in order to build a business network. This article was back in 2011, so it's a little bit out of date, but he is trying to, at the time of this printing, or at the time of this article, he was trying to make sure he got credit for the term networking. Basically, let's see, it talks about, he was the executive director of American Consumers Telephone Association, ACTA, but at that time, Lewis had no idea that his adjective for developing contacts in order to form business relationships would take off and become one of the late 20th and early 21st century's primary buzzwords worldwide. We all talk about networking. Networking, I'm going to talk about it in terms of groups, getting in groups and helping the power of groups, but you're networking every single second you're out talking to people. It's connecting with other human beings. Obviously, we're all smart enough to know, we're all, we've been doing something for long enough. It's better if you can be in a group of people. And, you're going to maximize your time, spend your money, you're spending your money much more efficiently when you're doing it in a group setting. But we're always networking. And you're always doing it every day, every time you talk, and you're selling something. Let me go real quick here to, so what are the top 6 benefits of networking? Now, I actually call it our rescue system. It's building relationships, education, success strategies, and we talk about them all the time in TTR, but we'll allude to that in a little bit more in a little bit. But community, the community, and as we already discussed, connection, community is being in a group of people with that connection. And it doesn't matter if you're networking in person or online. Of course, this pandemic world has made things a little different than it was prior to that, but community, understanding each other, understanding how each other learns, and I think, it's not just education and understanding, it's really understanding what your fellow members, people in your life are sharing with you, but it's also recognizing and understanding how they learn and, working with that. And then the execution, working with other, networking helps you to go out and actually do it. We share it with other people, we share it with our family. This is all networking, we're out, we talk, and then we get their help, or at least they hold us accountable, or just the fact that you share it. The execution is kind of the next step. If you don't network, you don't share it with anybody else, you may never execute what you're trying to do. We'll dig into that a little bit, but I put the rescue. If it looks familiar, it's because it's on our website, and it's the relationships, education, success strategies, community, understanding, and execution. So I just put that in there for a little teaser. So some statistics about networking. When it comes to networking in your business, 80% of business is based on relationships. This is research that was done. 20% is based on marketing. So relationships, and I think that's what we all know, that we need to build relationships. People, you can market all you want, but if somebody doesn't know, like, trust you, they're going to take you a little bit longer, because you have to build that relationship. 80% of professionals consider professional networking to be very important to their careers. And 70% say they were hired through networking. I think the statistics are quite high. I don't have it in front of me, of how many jobs actually never get posted because somebody knew somebody who knew somebody that actually, they share it, they network, and the job never gets even posted. And that's where I think that 70% comes in. let me go forward. So obviously, to network efficiently, you want to, I did not put it down here, but there are two different, two resources that I did look at. WeWork and Indeed are the, this is a culmination or a combination of the two different resources as to what you should do to make a great first impression. Networking strategies. You're trying to build your business, and how do you make the best first impression? I did not put it on here, but I think that it kind of, hopefully, even when you're online, even when you're in a Zoom group, there's a certain amount of personal hygiene. I said it before, smiling, making sure you're smiling. And I did say that you want to, smiling actually takes like 17 muscles when frowning takes, I think it takes like 50 or 60 muscles. It's just kind of a no-brainer. But the personal hygiene, I am going to be the first one. The Zoom has made it very easy to jump on wherever and whenever you are, and you might be in workout clothes, or some of that's not a bad thing. But there are times when you need to be very observant and think about who is actually on the other side of the Zoom call. So I just put personal hygiene, kind of my thing, making sure, and I don't know if it's personal hygiene, but it's etiquette, being, looking at who you're speaking to, and it doesn't matter whether you're doing it on Zoom or in person. But this list comes from WeWork and Indeed. It's a combination of theirs. Number one was join a networking group. And you all who are on here, I believe, everybody knows what a networking group is. We're going to talk a little more in depth about that in a few minutes, but joining a networking group was number one. Number two was utilizing social media, setting your intentions, have a plan. Whether you're meeting one person or you're going to a group, have a plan of what you're doing. Come ready to serve. That's something that I think is extremely important. What can you give, not what can you get? We all know these things, but it's just good to say it over and over again. Choose events and groups wisely. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but create a game plan kind of goes along with setting your intentions. As you get more, knowledgeable about what is out there, then there may be certain events that it makes no sense to be part of. And there's other groups and events that might make every sense to be part of. And don't be intimidated by titles. This Zoom world, this virtual world, I think opens, I don't know how many calls I've been on with people that in the past, I would have been freaked out, not because they were awful, but because I really held them in high regard. Well, now we can actually be on a call or, be in a group with somebody and have their, feel like you're right there, which you are virtually. You go to a group in person, same thing. Just go, you have something to share. We're all human beings. I don't know what they say. We all put on our pants one leg at a time or whatever. I don't know. But don't let titles intimidate you. Keep an open eye about everyone you meet. So I have a slide in the last presentation that I did, which was kind of cute. And I almost put it in here, but there's so much to talk about. I didn't want to take the time, but everyone you meet knows 500 to maybe 500,000 people. And you just don't know who they know. So even if you sit down with somebody and all of a sudden you realize this person has no interest in or has no need for what I am trying to sell them, they know people who need what you're selling, what you're offering, the service or the product. So don't discount them. anyway, you know that stuff. Be interested, not interesting, meaning listen. That's really, listen and ask questions of them. And then being a great listener, active listening and being present. I was going to actually put that in there and I did not actually put that in there, but being present at that moment where you are, when you are there, you have to be there. It's easy when you're on Zoom or any virtual platform to be multitasking. I know it is. I do it quite often, or I try not to, but there you go. Okay, so this is kind of, and I don't know if that face up there kind of expresses, this might get a little bit kind of crazy, but I did want to post, or I did want to share this with you. There are different kinds of networking groups. And, you might not realize that they're all kind of, everything kind of falls under these different titles. Now, I do have a couple things that I want to add at the end, but we'll go with the first one is casual contact networks. That's like chambers of commerce. They're general, they're overlapping industries. They get together maybe once a month. They might have some, events, but there's no, you pay a fee and you basically can attend what you want. There's no real accountability. It's good to make to get to know people, but it isn't so that's why it's casual contact. There might be a couple hundred financial people in one chamber. That is that's just, I don't know if there'd be 100, what'd I say? I don't know if there would be a couple hundred or whatever I said, but financial people, there could be numbers of them. Now, on the other side, there's strong contact networks, and strong contact networks are more like TTR, BNI, Gold Star. They have weekly meetings. They're industry exclusive a lot of times. Attendance and referrals get tracked. There is more of accountability if you're going to be part of it. They expect you to be there so often and give so many referrals. And you have to take that into consideration when you are participating or when you become a member. So I would encourage you, all these groups, there are places for all of these groups in your networking world. Community service clubs, Kiwanis, Eagles, Sertoma, not truly organizations that are about referrals. They are focused on service to the community and something bigger, giving back to the community. A lot of times business is done, and a lot of times there might be one representative in a group that might be a certain industry, but that isn't typically a big part of it. It's they get referrals, but it's focused on service to the community. And then we have professional associations, industry specific. So I was a AAA insurance agent. No, I'm sorry, I was an AFLAC agent. And there was a lady that joined I think it was a contractors professional organization. I mean, because AFLAC had great insurance, accident insurance, and she killed it in AFLAC because she joined, and she could join it. I do not know it depends on what the industry is. And I would believe that MIBOR would be one of those. Usually the membership is not inexpensive, it's fairly expensive, and you can join if you're not in the industry, but I don't think it's to be there to promote yourself. You're trying to be part of the work that the association is doing. Referrals come because you are there and you're participating and that kind of thing. Now the last one that I saw out there. Now, I like I said before, I have a few that I think I'm gonna, or at least one or two that I'm gonna mention, but this is an online social media network. So these groups that are on Facebook or any of these social media platforms that you become a part of. The thing is, it's credibility of your brand and relationship building. And I know a lot of us on here are online doing whatever, whatever groups you're in, but it takes a long time. And it is dedication to the time and the strategy of you have to have a plan. So that does not happen just instantaneously. That takes a long time. I was thinking about some stuff that we've been doing on social media and how long I've been out there posting and how long Nicole's been posting. And we're starting to hear that people are seeing a lot of this stuff, but my goodness, if I had thought it was going to take that long to get there, I don't know. I don't know. It's a kind of a weird world, but so there's a lot of different options. And we have a mastermind group that I think falls kind of under a number of these, kind of has a little bit, well, it does. It is under the strong contact, but we don't have the industry exclusivity. So I think it's just a matter of when you look at a group, making sure you understand what it is that the group is offering, what kind of group it is, what requirements there are for you. Is there a chance of referrals? Most of these groups, yes, there's a chance of referrals, but you've got to be very dedicated. And you can be in a number of these different types. Some of the groups don't want you to be in other groups in the same category. I don't know if that makes sense. TTR though, I feel, and I think a lot of our members feel, that if you are in other groups, you just bring that much more depth to your own contacts, and it is all about relationships. So that is a big deal. I am going to send out to all of you as a follow-up to this. Actually, let me do this real quick. I want to see, is it just the four of us? Ladies, thank you for being here. I'm going to go back to that in a minute, but I did want to just highlight, we came up with it's a report. We're calling it, it's a surefire formula for success in networking groups, but it's 7 bullet points about its compelling factors to consider before joining a networking group. So we came up with this, John, Nicole, Margaret, when we were doing we did a survey, a couple surveys in the fall, and then just talking to people. These are the 7 factors, and I guess she's gone. But the 7 factors that are, how often does a group meet, and do they have an organized agenda? That is an important part of, considering. I mean, obviously, if you're going to join a group, you need to know how often they're going to meet, right? If a group meets weekly and that doesn't fit your schedule, obviously don't commit to a group that does that. What does the networking group stand for? And that may sound kind of bizarre, but is there a greater cause? Do your beliefs align with theirs? And is there a support? Do they welcome guests and new members or prospective new members? Do they follow up with that new member, prospective new member? So this is number 3. I've kind of put a bunch of them in together, but number 3, is this a safe, non-judgmental group where I can share and get constructive feedback? So That may not come right off the bat, but you get a couple visits usually for most groups. So you get a chance in those groups to, those visits to really kind of reach out and see. I had a kind of an interesting experience. I won't tell you anything more other than we have two people I was trying to connect. And one person is not in our network, the other one is. And the gentleman that's not in our network is kind of in charge of a bunch of things. And he's got a Facebook group, and I knew him for a long time. And I'm trying to connect him with one of our members, one of our leaders. And he was, he's made it really difficult for he and her to make a meeting. And she called me and she said, am I doing something wrong? And I was like, yeah. I don't think so. I'm not sure how this guy runs a business, because I was thinking, he's kind of breaking one of the very first rules, or not rules, but he's not trying to get this other person to know, like, and trust him. I mean, if we're really being honest about it, don't we all want to kind of have that good, warm, fuzzy feeling, at least for a while, until maybe you actually do business? I mean, we've all done business with people that we thought were going to do great business, and something happened, and then it kind of, I don't know, it darkens your image of them. At that point, it's like, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't have counted on that person. But this guy is not making a real good impression. And I told her, I said, if you don't feel comfortable, if this is not making you feel safe, you don't feel, there is no reason. And this goes right with this. So the other thing, number 4 is, does this group give and receive warm interest to, qualified professionals? That was one of our questions on our survey. It was one of the feedback, and people were saying that they wanted introductions, or they wanted referrals. I tend to think we're going to be a lot more successful if we're just trying to make warm introductions. If we're required to give referrals, it's going to end up being that we're making them up. Now, if somebody said to me, I know some stuff about Margaret, they don't say that to me. I know some stuff about Margaret. I know some stuff about Dawn. If I'm talking to somebody and they say something, I really need to talk, and I know that Margaret has some connections in that world. I don't know if this person and Margaret are going to necessarily do business together, but I know that Margaret, I trust Margaret, and I know her and I like her. And I know that more than likely she is going to make the connection and make some warm introductions. But if you don't get that feeling, and honestly, we have 2 visits. We used to give a lot more than that, right, John? We used to have, I'm just saying, before we really figured it out, now it's like 2 visits. You could visit one group twice, but if you're not taking advantage of those connections that you're making at that 1 or 2 visits, then shame on you, because you should be. And that would be an opportunity at that point to say, oh, okay, I don't feel very warm. There's not a warm connection here. Maybe this isn't a good group for me. And that was what I was talking about, that with this gentleman on the south side. I shouldn't be giving you more details, but he's on the south side. But like this lady down there, she's like, am I reading this wrong? And I told her, I said, if you don't feel good about this, do not worry about it. Because that could honestly be kind of the signal. It could be a sign to all of us that we don't want to get that, because I think he could really I thought he could open up some doors. I don't think he's necessarily doing that. Anyway, are there, number 5, opportunities for personal growth and business growth? And you may not know that with 2 visits, but most groups are going to give you at least 2 visits. And we want people to talk to other people. That should be part of your questions. I'm trying to decide if I want to be in this group. Are there opportunities for me to, whatever that is? You know, I really want to work with nonprofits. Is that part of, you know, is that really something? Dawn talks about nonprofits and the TTR cares, but are there opportunities for me to actually get involved? And I do think within, I'm not trying to turn it back to TTR, but TTR does have a lot of different groups and the different opportunities. Obviously, prior to pandemic, we might have had a lot more in-person things that you could do. But anyway, personal growth, professional growth. Does the group have clear goals and plans on how they want to grow? And that is number 6. And that, to me, if you're just meeting every week and there is no encouragement to go out and invite others, which it is always, what is that? That is always, what is that when something is an irritation, not an irritation, not the straw that broke the camel's back, but that is always one of those things with, and this time of year, we've had a lot of groups that have like had half their members gone or more. And, you know, we get on the call, everybody's really happy to be on the call, but people tend to forget or something in between or whatever. And I really think, you know, all of our goals should be to grow professionally and to grow personally as well. But also, how are we going to do that? You know, let's get out there and invite, you know, I'm hoping that my leaders are always trying to get everybody to invite. And how do we, you know, how do we grow? We invite more people. Do we, you know, we invite people that have expertise that we don't have, trying to help us get the group together. Anyway, and number 7 was kind of, does the group offer training and tools, opportunities to learn more about, you know, like follow-up, relationship building? That is a really big important, yes, you're both sitting there shaking your head. To me, that is a big deal because that was not something that I learned in college. I didn't have, there was no sales class, I don't believe. You learn it on, you know, and how do we all, you know, we all think we know how to build relationships and we know what we know, but do we do it? So I think that's, you know, constantly. And if you look at BNI or Gold Star and some of those, they do. I really don't want to make it sound like I don't want people to go to BNI or Gold Star. You know, they do share. They are different than what we are. So we're a little different. So anyway, I'm going to send that. I know I went through that kind of fast. This is a report that we have been sharing with people who are coming to our website or whatever, because I think it's really important. And I want people to look at the groups they're considering and really figure that out, whether the group is actually doing that or not. Anyway, I am going to share, oops, I'm going to go back here and we'll pick up where we left off real quick. And this one is, you all know I've been talking about it for a long time, but I am a certified success principles trainer. So I do, and Jack Canfield, the success principles, is the author of the success principles. I am not even saying it right. And Jack, if you don't know, he's one of the top success coaches, and his thing is to grow your business. And I looked at this list, and all of these take networking. I mean, whether you're in a group, whether you're doing it, you know, you have to reach out to other human beings. You know, 8 steps to grow your business. Jack Canfield, according to Jack Canfield, number 1, create your business growth plan. If you can sit there and do it completely on your own, more power to you. But I think you need to research your industry. You need to ask people questions. These are all part of what Jack encourages you to do. You need to nurture your customers. Of course you do. They're going to refer other people to you. So these are how to, and I just jumped to this. He said, get your business online, attend networking events, and I would definitely say groups. The statistics I showed you earlier actually were, I think they were, I pulled those out of some group networking, just different articles, but the networking events are great. And you just, like I said at the beginning, you need to know what you're going to and have a game plan and all of that kind of thing. But groups and events, make sure you really look at what is out there. Expand your products. That would be as you go along. Obviously, to expand your products, what are you going to need to do? You're going to need to reach out to the people that you're serving, your current clients, prospective clients. So it's all about networking. And then you do want to keep track of your success and make sure you know what you're doing as far as, how are you doing? For this many reach outs. When I worked at AAA, there was an agent that did extremely well, but he was not a good people person at all. But he made 100 calls every day to build his business. And out of those, he got so many of the people, ended up getting business because of the numbers. Just, a lot of times it is numbers, but you still have to work and network and learn how to build those relationships. Let me see. You all know the TTR information, but I did put that on there. You all know that we have 14 groups. I did want to make sure we are launching a program called Ignite, and it is going to start Tuesday, August 2nd at noon Eastern time on Zoom. And this is basically over the last, oh my goodness, I don't even know, over the last so many weeks or months, I've had so many people that don't even, I said at the beginning, that don't have a clue what networking is and the power of it. I decided, I think it's kind of the funnel to figure out, this program is a 4-week program. We're going to run it every month. And it's basically for anybody who is new to their industry, or new to a business, new to their industry, or anybody that's just gotten stale in what they're doing and they want to light a fire or they want to ignite their strategic networking. We're going to go through some of the basic things. And then by the end of the 4 weeks, the goal is that somebody would figure out, do they want to go to the referral networking? Do they want to go to our mastermind, which is now going to start? Our next session is going to start on Wednesday, September 7th. And that may seem like a ways off, but I'm telling you, it's coming quickly. And I just have a very busy July, so we decided to do this. The Ignite will be a 4-week class. And then when that's over, I'm hoping that we will be funneling people to the right place if they decide that at that point they want to do the mastermind, because some people just want the mastermind. They really just want to know what they need to do to build their business. They want to know what they can do to make it more, not necessarily referral wise. They just want to build a better business. Now, the referral networking groups, those people could do both if they wanted to do the Success Connect and the referral. And the referral groups. There's quite a few different people that have talked about they're starting a new business or whatever, and they would like to investigate starting a new group. I think, and I would believe that Dawn would probably agree with me as a leader, that you really have to be up for your game if you're leading. I mean, and it may seem like, oh, how hard is that? It can be quite an ordeal. But anyway, you will start hearing more about this as we go. And I know you all know, but I put some stuff, those of you that are on, you probably all know about the Cards and Chill that we have. These are some events that I would invite people to please come and join us if you'd like to. Nicole leads our Cards and Chill, and we've had some interesting people on there. And I hope they're coming, start attending some of our groups. We have our Tuesday groups, and Dawn is here, obviously. And Biz Builders is our morning group. These are in Zoom or on Zoom, both of these groups. And then our Biz Builders even has a hybrid, so somebody can go to the actual office. Although I'll tell you, Dawn, most of those members are now doing Zoom because I think they honestly, they won't say it out loud, but I think they like it better. I really think they, because that was we've had a couple of groups that have just said, oh, I don't like Zoom at all. But when it comes down to it, it's like, oh, I'll be on Zoom, I'm driving somewhere or I've got to be at this appointment. And, but I'm glad that, thank God that it's an option for us. So anyway, I will let you know, I'm going to send this out, the recording of this with the 7 factors, the report. As soon as we have the Ignite ready I will be sending it out to everybody. And the idea today was I was hoping we have a number of people signed up that hopefully will be visiting some of our groups. And I was going to have them put in the chat that they want to meet new people. So I know you two ladies know each other, so I'm not going to worry about that. Are there any questions? I actually buzzed right through that quicker than I thought. So anything? Oop, don't worry about that. That's not a good thing. What thoughts?
This was good. I enjoyed it, and I just have one question. So, sure. How did you decide on 14 groups, and now you might go to 15? How was that?
No, it's a good question, Margaret. You know what? I wish I could say there was some real deep thought into 14 groups. Dawn, I don't know if you, I was looking at, so these cards we had done, and these are the ones we used at the Taste of the Chamber. And, but when I'm looking at, there's 9 groups on here. It's such a good question, Margaret. The answer to the question is that whenever somebody was wanting to start a group, we started a group. I thought, if they're gung-ho and they're ready to lead it, it should be easy. It should be a slam dunk, right? No. No. So the 14 just happens to be what we have. Okay. I have had, it is and I don't know, Dawn, you probably have some insight.
It's been a little bit more strategic than that, than Jennifer leads on. It has been organically growing. It's one of those situations, not only when someone has expressed interest in it, but it hasn't made sense. At the time before COVID, when we were meeting in person, did it make sense that that the meeting would be starting in a market or a location that needed coverage, that wasn't previously represented? Mm-hmm. Was the time and date of the call a time and date that people were available and interested in participating that wasn't previously covered? We don't have a whole lot of groups that all meet on the same date at the same time. So we wanted to provide variety and coverage so that individuals would have a choice of location and time that would fit their busy schedules. And it just ends up, I think, that we currently have 14 groups. As Jennifer mentioned, if there were individuals that were interested in leading and starting up a group and had talked to a core group of people in the key industries that were interested in joining or starting up with them, then that is a good catalyst, a good way to start a group. And then we we support each other as group leaders through our monthly leadership calls, and make sure that they have the proper resources to be successful and effective carrying that forward.
Right.
Well, thank you for
very
that.
much. Yeah, okay, because I know somewhere I had heard 10, and then today you said 14, and then somebody else was looking at starting a group. It's like, I wonder how that happened.
Well, and it's just, and thank you, Dawn. That's a good way to explain it. The prior to the pandemic, there was a little bit of a plan, because although if you look at like our Broad Ripple group is in Broad Ripple now, but when they started, they were in Broad Ripple, then they moved out of Broad Ripple for a while, then they moved back into Broad Ripple, and now they're back into, but the foundation of any group is those industries, the real estate, mortgage, finance, and insurance. Those are really important. However, now with the virtual world, if I had 4 people or 5 people that were all really gung-ho and interested, and none of them were in any of those industries, I'd be fine with it, because if they're gung-ho, but when we were, you know what I mean? If I know they're committed, but that's what this pandemic world has done. It has opened the possibilities up. So I've always said I wouldn't mind, growing more. I just know, if I think back, and Dawn has been around long enough, there've been some leaders who shouldn't have been leaders. I thought they should be leaders. So I put them in that position. And then after a while, I'm like, oh my goodness, what did I do? Because they didn't do anything. But it is not a planned, it is not a planned thing. The mastermind and the Ignite, I feel like we have to have some way to kind of, I said that, but funnel people the right direction. And because, we all want business, but there's some of us that really are just we're all trying to perfect what we're doing. But, I've got a couple insurance agents, which is my industry that I started out, that they've got goals. They got to make so many sales, and they really don't care. They do care to do a good job, but they're not all about the masterminding. They just want business. And there's other people on the complete other end of it that truly just want to do the best, and they want to build something that means something.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it right, but I think we're probably all in this group probably closer to the latter of what I was just saying. But I'm excited because I think we've got people that are hopefully going to be visiting, and we get this Ignite thing going. But I want people to know that we may not be the right place for them. And I don't, today, I will leave it with this. Today, I was confirming with Lisa on the website stuff. We've made sure over the course of 2 years, we've had Zoom information out there with passwords and everything. And I really just don't want that to be out there. I want the website to be, contact Jennifer Johnson or fill out this interest form. And then, because I just don't want just Joe Schmo being able to show up. And I don't know, Dawn, I don't know, Margaret, have you had any times when there've been hackers on calls? I think Dawn has, right?
I've had hackers on the TTR Cares call. And I think it is most beneficial to the group leader to have a heads up, to know who's going to be on the call, what that new person, what their interest is, what their industry is, what they expect to get out of the call.
Right.
And then that helps the leader even communicate out to their regular members and say, hey, we've got this guest coming. This is a little bit about them. You know, think about who you might like to connect them to. And it allows us to be more proactive and have a more organized meeting than to just have a surprise visitor, whether they intend to be nefarious in as they jump on our calls, or if they have, you know, genuine participation. It just allows us to be better prepared. So I prefer it the way that Jennifer is describing.
Sure, you know, I don't blame you.
Yeah, at the beginning, thank you, Margaret. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. At the beginning, I felt like, my gosh, we got to have every door open so these people can find us, you know, because I felt like we were the light in the dark, you know, this horrible thing that was falling on all of us. And so I put it out almost every week on social media. I put, this is our Zoom link, jump on. You know, I wasn't even thinking about people doing anything other than just being genuine human beings and being good. And then we started having all these crazy things. Now this card, okay, so the website doesn't have that. On the card, there's obviously, well, I don't know if you guys can't, you ladies can't see this. There's a couple of these groups that aren't even, they're not still the same thing. Or you know, whatever. So anyway,
they've changed their date or time, or they're called something just a little bit different now. But
and you know, I was on a call.
Excuse me, I've got a 6 o'clock Zoom.
Oh, well, we'll see you.
Sorry.
No problem. Thank you, Margaret.
Talk to you soon, Margaret.
All right, this was great. I look forward to the replay and the slides.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you for being on. Dawn, are you able to stay on for a minute?
I am.
Okay, good.